Hello dear students, good morning. This is Mr. Abhishek Kumar, the English faculty. So, without any further delay, I would like to remain on the topic. So, I am going to teach the English literature of CBSE of class 10th. So, in class 10, there are two literature. One is the first flight and the another one is the footprint without feet. The first one is the first flight that I am going to teach. And from the first flight, the first chapter, a letter to God. Coming to the topic and the theme of the letter to God. The letter to God is written by G.L. Fluence, Gregorio Lopezi Fluence. This G.L. Fluence was born in 17th November 1895 in Mexico and died in December 10th 1966 in Mexico. He was a great revolutionary writer in his time in Mexico. He has written many poems. He was also called the poet. He was also called the novelist, and then later he was also a great journalist. So this is about a bit about the author. Coming back to the main point of the story or the summary of the story, there are two characters in this story. The first is Lencho, the poor farmer, and the another one is the postmaster. Speaking about the Lencho, Lencho was staying along with his family on the top of a hill. There were many hills, and among them he was staying, and near that there were also valleys, or while all the hills were situated on valley. The main purpose and the condition to stay on the hills for them it was that from there he or they could see the crops what they cultivate clearly. So that was the one purpose too. As the life was going on good, he was very happy with his family because he was a very great hard worker. He used to work hard for his family in the field and cultivate more and more crops. As he has planted the crops, or he has planted the corns required raindrops. Because if the raindrops could be there, then it could cultivate more crops. So he was waiting for the rain. So he had a great faith on God that God will provide the rains. So as one afternoon he was taking the meals at daybreak, suddenly the climate changed. The cloud became so dark. Wind started blowing, the storm started blowing. So all this, so suddenly there was a drop of rain, or started dropping the rains. He left the food and ran out from the room or house to the ground to feel the touch of the raindrop, because he knew that when the raindrops will be touching to the crops, then the crops will be yielding many falls, or it will cultivate more and more. So that was his great belief on that. So when he started feeling the drop water, he started counting the cultivation. The crops started converting into coins. He started telling that how our crops will be turned into coins and in currencies, pesos. So that was his thought. But the condition was unfortunate. What was the unfortunate? That beginning started drizzling and dropping the rains. Then there was a great storms, and then suddenly there was hailstones. The showering of the hailstones. The moment the showering of the hailstones started, hailstones means the ice falling, or the ola in Hindi. He became so much conscious about the hailstones. Conscious means he was aware that it will be continuing for a moment. It will not continue for long. That also he has a trust on God. And then as he was having a trust or belief that it will continue for a moment, but it happened nothing. It did not happen so. And then the hail started falling almost an hour. The arts, the courtyards, the ground, it became filled with the ice pulses. Ice pulses means the ice, a heap of ice was in the ground. The children started playing with that. But the moment the storm stopped, the rain stopped, and the hailstone stopped, he ran towards the field, crop field, and he saw every crop was fallen down. It was destroyed completely. Even a single grain was not left. And then he said, his son, when a plague locust comes to the ground, even they leave some grains in the ground. But these hailstones, even a single grain did not live in the ground. And then he started feeling so much sad. That sadness cannot be explained. He ran house, which means he went house. His wife and he himself both started talking about their lifestyle. What will be the condition of their life? Because he has to again survive for the next crops. And he is a poor, he is not a big farmer. He is just cultivating for the survival of their lives. So he was sad, but sadness cannot break the relation between God and him. So he told to his wife that of course we do not have to worry about that. Around us or surrounding to us, no one is there, but rather only one is there who can help us. There is a God who can help us. So though he was a farmer, yet he knew how to write. So he has started writing a letter to God that, my dear God, you have destroyed my crops. Now it's your responsibility to provide us something to survive ourselves. And then he tells that, God, please provide me 100 pesos until the next crop comes. And after writing this, he folds the letter, puts into the envelope, and on Sunday he goes to the post office, and into the mailbox he puts, by putting all the stamps, writing on the envelope the address to God, and puts and comes back. As one of the employees or the postman opens the post mail and removes the letters, among them there is a letter which is something unusual. By reading the address to God, he starts making a fun at him. Who is such an eccentric and unusual man that writing a letter to God? Who in this world can be like this? He started making a fun fool, because of course this story itself is a ironic story. Ironic means a funny story, which can be not be a true, but is a making a fun way or taking in a fun. He takes the letter to the chief officer and tells to the chief officer, "Sir, see, there is a man who has written a letter to God. Is there any possibility that letter can reach to God?" Beginning, the postmaster or the officer also started making fun at him. But when he removes the letter and takes out from there and reads, then he feels the feeling of the Lencho. He tells that what a great faith. After saying that, he turns immediately his thought into sympathy. Sympathy means in a helping nature, and it tells, or he thought himself, that if I don't do anything for him, then his faith will be destroyed on God, which means his faith will be deviated. The relation between God and man will not be there. So he starts making a plan. He started making a plan how to collect some amount of pesos. So he has started collecting from his colleagues, some of the employees, and also he collected the monies from his salary too. After collecting all the currencies or the money altogether, it became more than 50%, almost 70%, which means 70 pesos. And after collecting everything, he put into the envelope, and nothing he has written, only put the currency or the pesos in the envelope, and at last he has written his signature, God, and put into the mailbox. Coming back to the Lencho having a great faith, he knew that God will be having a reply for him. And then on another Sunday, he came back and asked the postmaster, where is my letter which has come from God? And then suddenly the postman gives the letter to Lencho, and Lencho as soon as possible starts opening and sees there is money. By seeing the money, he was not surprised. By seeing the money, he is supposed to be surprised that already God has replied for his letter. But rather, he started counting. After counting, it was only 70 pesos. By seeing the 70 pesos, he was so much aggressive, so angry, and suddenly he ran up a stair near to the window where all the complaint or the fill or the writing on the letters on that dash. He goes and asks one of the employees, please give me ink and paper, and he starts writing. After writing, he puts into the mailbox and he moves from there. And then the post officer, he was peeping and looking, or he was hidden someplace and seeing the activities what this Lencho was doing. Suddenly he ran after moving Lencho from there and took out the letter, and the postman read that, my dear Lord, don't send the next remain pesos through the postman, because the postman or the post officers are a bunch of crook. Bunch of crook means dishonest people, and written there, sign Lencho. So by this, the summary or the story gets over. Now if I tell you about these stories, the conclusion that how Lencho was having a great faith on God. Having a great faith on God, every person should have. But not only that we should have the faith on God, but rather we should also have the faith on people. Now see, he did not know or he did not know who had helped him, either God or people. There is a big question mark. We should know. We should know that God helps the people, but through the another people, which means God is the like and image of human being. So we should not have destruction towards the faith of people too. We should also believe on the people, because God works through the people. So this is the conclusion. So I hope that you all might have understood the summary, a letter to God. The question answer I will be sending through Wattpad, and there will be also some questions which will be called the self test based questions. So please do that also, and don't forget to make the fair, because it will be helping you for your further study or the examination. Have a nice day. We'll meet soon on the next lecture. Thank you.